After a game, how long do you wait to watch film? Do you go home and kind of start watching it immediately, or do you take a few hours?
No, I usually watch it on the iPad that night. Yeah.
What would you see?
So watch it on the iPad that night, watch it with the staff Sunday afternoon, watch it with the players usually by position Sunday afternoon right after that.
What did you see after reviewing it Saturday night?
I thought we played hard throughout the game. I thought we played hard. I thought we were inconsistent in a number of places. I think, the oversimplification is to say what so-and-so did do as opposed to what they could have done if they played their best. We need to shoot for that, and we got plenty of work to do, but I thought we had good focus, attention. I thought we tried hard, but we got to improve this week. We have to improve a lot this week.
Seems like shutouts just don't happen much in college football anymore. Do you really take pride in being able to keep the team scoreless in a game?
I was very proud of our defense that they had a shutout. Shutouts are hard no matter who you play, when or where. I think they're very tough, and so I was proud of our defense for that.
I know winning a game doesn't necessarily do anything for you guys going forward now that you're kind of looking ahead to Boise State, but from confidence, morale perspective, starting off on a good foot, not having kind of the natural questions that come into mind when you lose, does that do anything for you guys?
Well, I think there's more positive energy. The questions, I don't really indulge those as far as, just worry about doing my best. If I'm doing that, that's about all I got to offer. I might think that my best was misdirected and redirected somewhere else next time, but they've already got pretty much what they can get out of I think us as coaches, and then we've got to get our players thinking on the same line. There's a difference between trying as hard as you can and being correct, and but I think we were correct on more things than not, but I think there's a lot of room to work on, and that'd be the case whether we that can potentially be the case depending who you play, whether you win or lose. But we just got to keep getting better. I mean, we got some film. We got our first game. We got a whole bunch of examples, and we got to improve.
Overall, Coach, just first impressions of Boise State from what you've seen and read.
They remind me of all the Boise State teams. I mean. Play hard. They play confident. They, I wish I could tell you some differences. I can't, I really can't think of any. They're playing with two quarterbacks, which is a little unusual. But they look like they always do.
After last year's loss, you sort of criticized the team's toughness in that game. 1 year later, where do you think your team's at with that right now?
Well, we should have won that game, but that game has nothing to do with this game, and so all we can do is focus on this game. So
It sounds like you guys, and you spoke to it a bit as well, kind of took, or I guess reverted to a tougher approach with the team as a whole after that game. Has that remained since then? Have you kind of changed at all from that?
Well, I mean, it's not just necessarily our approach. I'd like to think our team as a whole has, our players too, because we've got an awful lot of players back. I would like to think their point of view on things have changed that direction as well.
Where has Brett Rippon gotten better since last year, and then since you guys were looking at him?
Tough to say. I only have one game to look at him off of. He did some good things last year for sure. So,
what are your thoughts on using two quarterbacks? You have your returner coming back, and you kind of throw another one in the mix. Is that something you would ever do?
Depends what you're trying to do, really. I probably wouldn't. I mean, sometimes guys will do it mixing in some kind of quarterback run stuff with a passer. I always worry it makes the team disjoint. I've never done it that way, so I don't even have any experience on it. But the short answer is no.
You said it doesn't matter, but what sticks out in your mind about that Boise State game last year?
I didn't think we executed well. I think we went out there. I thought we were slow. I thought we were tentative. Of course, none of that counts for this year. So what do we care? We're gonna worry about this one.
What's the challenge that you face when you do see a team with two different quarterbacks with two different skill sets?
Well, you try to address them defensively. I don't know about them and, what their approach is, but, my sense is at least with regard to my team, the team adjusts around the leadership of one guy, and so you're changing speeds on them a little bit. And then, if you got quarterbacks that can do two things, and you're asking the rest of the team to, in some form or fashion, and this isn't an exact statement, learn two offenses instead of one, But anyway, but they always do a good job, and they've always had, some gadgets and some shifts and motions and stuff that have worked out good for them. So,
Is there any change to you guys' preparation before the Montana game versus the Boise game?
no, there's really not.
I think they've won their last 4 against the Pac-12 teams. What does that say about how they've been able to kind of sustain success and play their best ball against the better teams in their schedule?
Well, I think they're able to zero in a fashion some of those Pac-12 teams aren't. The Pac-12 teams play a lot of good teams. So I think that's one luxury there. But the other thing, I think they've played well and prepared well.
You said it's hard to really judge Brett Ripken's growth this year to last year. Where do you see him making strides when you saw him and got to study him last year compared to where he was as a high school kid?
I don't know, just overall, I didn't look at him very much. I looked at their defense and how to move the ball. I thought he was a solid quarterback, though. Of course, when you consider all the quarterbacks we played against, it's pretty tough to stand out.
Are you close with Mark Rippon at all?
Yeah, I see him quite a bit at the Cougar events. Yeah, we got to get him out there playing. He could play about 3 or 4 positions: D end, O line, quarterback, of course. But if he wants to try another one, we'd be happy to suit him up and put him out there. No, he a great guy, hilarious guy to talk to. Every time I talk to him, he's just got done golfing or biking. So,
Do you expect him to be wearing crimson this weekend or blue and orange?
I think he'll wear crimson because that's it's his. Hopefully, him and his brother have a good rivalry discussion on this one. I hope he's in crimson.
Let's go to questions on the line. Go ahead, Steph.
Hey, Coach, what did you see from the O-line last game, you think?
Saw some good things. I thought we started slow. I thought we finished better than we started. A little inconsistent at times, but, we didn't have any lapses in effort, I didn't think. I thought that, when we had problems, it would be one guy. But I did think they played hard. And I think they're a position, maybe more than most, that really benefit from a first game and then the film of a first game.
In what sense? What do you think they get more
Because
than a lot of these other positions?
because O-line is of all the positions on the football field, O-line is the one that's the most choreographed. You can go through all the other positions. Okay, this guy's where he's supposed to be, that guy's where he's supposed to be, this guy's not. Well, you're still okay? Well, first of all, there's 5 O-linemen, and if one of them isn't where he's supposed to be, potentially everybody else is screwed. And and so having that, synchronizing all that, I think can be pretty challenging. And then, like for example, you got, the defensive front. Okay, everybody's twisting and one guy's blitzing. Okay, one guy botches it. Well, if one guy gets through, you're still in great shape. So, and that's not the case with the O-line. So I think there's more on them as far as being very synchronized and precise in their individual execution. The other thing with O-line is it's a constant series of corrections. It's the most technical position of all the positions. And I think sometimes, seeing yourself out there in a live game, where there's just a tiny bit more pressure and how you are technically and how synchronized you are as a unit in playing together, I think, I think there's the most potential for growth there because there's the most demand on those guys as far as the combination of both technique and execution.
I see. And so in years past, you guys like to have one sort of sixth man who can kind of be flexible and sub in at a lot of different positions on the line.
Well,
Who would you say
we'd
that-
like to
that
have
guy is?
10. We'd like to have 10. Well, I've never had 10. We'd like to have 10. We'd like to have 10. I'm going to see if I can manage 8, though.
Right.
not-
so
yeah,
who would you
eight
say is the
total,
next
not-
man in?
Right now, the next man, it kind of depends what position, but it would be some. It would be some combination of Noah Myers, Liam Ryan, and Josh Watson.
Okay, thank you. And as for the D-line, I mean, what have you seen from Dan Ekawale this offseason going into that first game and in that first game?
He had an incredible offseason, the best offseason I've ever seen him have. He's always been a guy. Well, first of all, and this isn't. Well, first of all, it's a huge compliment to Daniel Ekawale, despite how this thing starts out. But I mean, it's just the standard process that that everybody goes through. I mean, a guy comes out from high school, and initially the work ethic in college is different than it is in high school. Okay, some will rise, some will collapse. Okay, Daniel rose up one step at a time. Okay, then you'll have good days and bad days, and deal with disappointment, sometimes stay down longer than you should have. Well, Daniel steadily improved on that. Then this last off season, he had a huge off season, and where the work and focus and all those things, and some leadership qualities too. And I thought played one of the very best games of our entire defense this last game.
Thank you.
Mike, do you have a preference one way or the other on if your running backs try to hurdle a guy?
I prefer they don't. Like, first of all, it exposes you in a fashion that I think is unnecessary. The other thing is the landing on those things are fairly brutal as well. And then the other thing, if you think about it, with rare exception, and there are exceptions, with rare exception, you get about as far as you would have if you'd lowered your pads and run through somebody. And for example, the play you're referring to, I believe that if he lowers his shoulder and tries to split those guys, he ends up in approximately the same place he ended up in the end.
And then, Mike, what was your biggest takeaway on the wide receivers group from the game film?
I thought we can improve. We've got a lot of new faces out there, and we've got to elevate them. On the some of those, we got some talented guys, and then they've had good practices in camp. We've got to elevate them, get them acclimated, and hopefully this last game helped us do that.
Other questions on the line for Coach Leach?
Yes, Coach. I want to ask you what makes Hercules such an impressive player for you. And I know obviously they've talked a lot about keeping an eye on him this week up here.
He understands leverage real well. I mean, if you look in the dictionary, guys, they don't really look like him. I mean, he's well built, but he's not chiseled up like some of them, and he's definitely undersized. But he's just does a remarkable job of he's got a real quick first step. He does a remarkable job of understanding leverage, and he's inordinately strong on the field. And some of them are just sort of intangibles, and he plays with pretty good ferocity most of the game.
So some of the defensive coaches here kind of mentioned how they think maybe your offense has evolved a little bit. Do you think it has changed in the last couple of years, and how so?
It's something about offensive evolving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's evolved or not. I mean, you feature the players you have. For example, back in the Big 12, our running backs, would lead the conference or be in the top 2 or 3 in the conference as far as production there too. So it really hasn't changed. You try to feature the talents of your players, and sometimes that's a different combination of routes or something your quarterback does well. It really hasn't changed a lot. I mean, sometimes play selection, but I think more of that has to do with the talents and the characteristics of your players that you're trying to feature.
Any other questions on the line for Coach?
Luke credited the outside receivers for kind of being patient in the game where a lot of it was underneath and to the running backs. Are you content with a game like that, or would you want him to try and push it downfield a little bit more?
I thought we could have a little bit more, not a ton more. I thought we should have gone further on the run than we did. I mean, I realized we rushed for a bunch of yards, but we had cuts that could have gotten a bunch more. I mean, if you're, again, the gauge isn't what you got; it's what you could have got if you did the best you could. We left a lot out there on the table as far as that went. Underneath the routes, we've got to get straight up field when we catch the ball. We didn't do that consistently. I think we did have opportunities to get it downfield. Not as many. This wasn't going to be a big downfield game, but that and the fact we had 30 plays the first half, but it wasn't going to be a huge downfield game, but I think we could have pushed it downfield more than we did.
Mike, have you always been fond of the shovel pass?
We did it for a long, long time. I'm trying to think. We did it for probably 10 years. No, 11. Let's see, 11. Did it for about 14 years. Okay, then seemed to kind of dry up a little bit and wasn't as good as it used to be, and then tweaked it a little bit and broke it out again, and so it's working good for us now. I don't think it's a every time deal, and I mean basically what it amounts to is a draw. It's a way to run a draw, but did it for a long time, shelved it for quite a long time, and now it's back. So.
Did you use it before Tech? Did you use it at all before Tech?
My first exposure to it was the Iowa Wesleyan College. So we did it at Iowa Wesleyan, did it at Valdosta State, did it at Kentucky, did it at Oklahoma, and did it about half the time at Tech. And then I had a quarterback at Tech, and this really made me rethink it. It was unbelievable. I'm not going to name names, because it is embarrassing, because this would be embarrassing if I couldn't do this, okay? And I've always been able to do this, and even at the ripe old age of 76, which I am right now, I can do it. On a shuttle pass, okay, now the trouble is it's got to be your offhand. So you go like this. You go like this. Look, everybody, I'm passing the ball. And then at the last second, and this is key, you turn your thumb down. You just hold the football, turn your thumb, and all you have to do is this. Here, I'll show you. Okay, and so then the ball goes. And so then, and it's a perfectly soft shuttle pass, not unlike the pitch back in the great triple option days, which I love that it's a tribute to the triple option. Go there right, the fullback go like this, and then turn the thumb down, and then the guy takes off, you see? Well, so I had one quarterback at Tech, and I don't know if, he didn't have that little of hands or whatever, but then there's the ball, and it's going to be like, this weird basketball pass, to the point where you can't go like this and then, and just the whole spastic motion in and of itself was both entertaining and disgusting to see on film. And then there was another quarterback, I had another quarterback that followed that guy all the time, and he did it the same way. And then, and we literally had to work on doing this. Do it again. There's had the chalkboard on the wall, drew a circle, get it in the circle. And anyway, so that was the beginning of the end. And then I had another guy at quarterback there at Tech. And, he was confident as could be and kind of like a rooster back there. And he'd get the ball, and he'd be like this, and motion to the defensive end. Is this what you want here? Then he'd go like that, And then, so anyways, as long as we're getting something out of it, we'll do it. And if we're not, we won't, But it's like it's fun to watch. But really, all it is a draw,
Do you think it should be counted as a pass play, or do you think it's more?
Yeah, it goes forward. It's a pass. Yeah, it's a pass.
Did you notice teams adjusting to it much last year when you guys started using it?
Well, it's like anybody with the draw. Most teams have a draw, and most teams have a draw. So, you either spy the guy and you're late into coverage, or it's difficult to rush that guy, so it can mitigate the pass rush and can mitigate the pass coverage, or else you just come upfield and try to whack the quarterback, or you go back and try to get into pass coverage, and then you're vulnerable to the draw. You know what I mean?
I think last Thursday you kind of alluded to redshirt and Easop Winston. Do you guys plan to do that this year?
I think so. Don't know yet. You let things unfold a little bit. If we need him, we won't hesitate to pull it off. I'd like to redshirt him.
That just be because of the depth you have?
Well, he just needs to develop, I think. He needs to develop. He's been in and out. I think he's got to get in shape. He's got great hands. Might have the best hands on the team.
Any more questions on the phone line? Okay, last chance in the room.
All right.
Fan question of the week, student question of the week. Do you believe in Bigfoot or any other extra conspiracies like that?
Do I believe in Bigfoot?
Or anything of the sort? Aliens?
I hope there's Bigfoot. I doubt there is. Not to throw a whole shadow over the rainy forest in Washington, where there's already a lot of shadows. I hope there's Bigfoot. I don't think there is. The reason I don't think there is because we found bones of dinosaurs and everything else, but we haven't found bones that I've heard of Bigfoot. It'd be fun if there's Bigfoot. I hope there's Bigfoot. But my guess is there is not.
What about aliens?
Aliens, I suspect there is, and I don't know that they're little green men, and I don't know that they're specifically in our galaxy. Because I look at it this way. First of all, like something about lightning strikes mud and then it sparks a beetle, or and all that other business. I don't happen to believe that. I take more the biblical approach on this whole thing, which to me, why only this planet? Why only us? If it can happen here, to me, it's always been naive. On Earth they say, oh well, we're the only ones. Really, why? Have you been to the other planets? Have you checked out the other planets? To me, it makes more sense that if it happened here, it happened somewhere else than it does that it only happened here. You know what I mean? And then we know that there's galaxies beyond our galaxy, and so whether there's another inhabited planet in our galaxy or not, and maybe somewhere formerly inhabited. Why would that mean that there's no inhabited ones in the other galaxies? And it really doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And then the other thing, just from like the Christian approach, which is the one I take, why wouldn't God build other Earths in other places? Why only this one? And even if you're an evolution guy and lightning striking mud and popping in. I mean, and then, well, they say, well, the notion of God is far-fetched. Oh, really? Striking mud and then life, sparking out of there and then it going like that? Well, I mean, that's just such an obvious, easy path to follow. And then and so regardless of which approach you take, well, if it happened one place, why wouldn't it happen somewhere else? Or why couldn't it happen somewhere else? Or why wouldn't it be likely to happen somewhere else? And I don't know that they would, just be hostile mutants and the rest, They might look, remarkably like us, where style-wise or something they evolved a different direction, maybe buildings, cars different, who knows, But I certainly wouldn't rule out, life somewhere else other than just Earth, because, see, to me that seems like a lot less of a stretch than the notion that, we're the only one. We're the only one special enough that lightning struck a puddle of mud. Or we're the only one special enough that God cares about enough to have life on this planet. Say, I don't believe that. I mean, everybody wants to be special, but I don't think we're that special. So that's what I think.
That's good. All right, thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
well,
Coach.
thanks.
Thanks.